Okay, Alan, it's time to review The First Omen. Did you have an opportunity to see it?
I did not. I'll see it this weekend.
It's going to be... Oh, wait. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you do that. Thank you. Alan knows what he's doing.
There we go.
I love it. It's only taken us 2 years to get here, and I love it. But thank you. Let's talk about The First Omen. The First Omen is now in theaters. And I'll say this. If you're a fan of the Omen series, and I am, I loved the first Omen movie from 1976. I saw it in the theater as a kid. It was one of the first R-rated movies that I saw, horror film. It scared the heck out of me as a kid. And it's, to me, one of the classic horror films that spawned a trilogy, beginning with The Omen. And the first Omen, it's going to get confusing. The Omen movie from 1976
the first
was directed by Richard Donner. The director of Superman. The First Omen, which is out now in theaters, it's a direct prequel to the Omen from 1976. So there you go. It's similar in terms of story to Immaculate. It's about a young woman in 1971 who comes to Italy to become a nun, and she's welcomed, and she has to go through a ceremony to become part of the faith. And that's where I'm kind of a little lost on what the traditions are. But she's going through the process, but she's kind of she's sowing her wild oats. One of the other nuns in the convent says, let's go out, let's kind of have some fun, right? And they go out and they go to like a bar and they're dancing with boys, and maybe they have a couple drinks. So it's like they're sowing their wild oats, sort of a last hurrah before they, dedicate their lives to the church. And odd things begin to happen, creepy things. I mean, there are some really good jump scares in the beginning. And what I loved about it is not only does it feel like it's set in 1971 because of the way the movie is shot. It's shot in a way this is a thing, like, I don't like when you see a period film and they're using like, a steady cam or like these glorious shots. This movie, it looks like they've got like the camera moves around, but in a way that would be, it looks like it was filmed in 1971. And I'm telling you by the way that the story is told, the camera's on sticks and it totally works. The tone of this thing is frightening. This movie is much better than I expected it to be. And what it's about the birth of Damien. It's about the birth of the son of the devil. And you see this church has gone through a process where this is in the first act of the movie. You figure this out. But I'm not going to spoil, the last half, because there are some really amazing twists, and it leads directly into The Omen from 1976, or at least the first moments from that movie. But it's, the reason that the church itself is involved in a conspiracy trying to bring forth this demon child, and the reason they're doing it is because people are losing faith. Fewer and fewer people listen to their elders or respect the church. The only reason to bring people back to religion is to bring forth the devil on earth. And it's such and when you realize that it's actually the church themselves that's involved in bringing forth the devil, that's when just things go awry. So Margaret is the lead character, played by Nell Tiger Free. Is that her name? Yeah. She's really good in this. I mean, her range as an actress is spectacular. And like the original Omen from 1976, what's great about this film is the tone. It is so creepy. And there are a few cheap jump scares in the beginning, but they're really well told. And then it is just horrific. And there are, just like the other Omen films, shocking deaths. I'm not going to tell you about any of them. But there are deaths where you're like, oh my God, like the kills in this movie are crazy. And if you're a fan of the original Omen series, this is right. You literally can watch the first Omen made in 2024, and you can watch the 1976 Omen and just watch the rest of the films. It's such a really good prequel. There are some nitpicks about it that I can't get into because they're spoilers. But I got in an argument with my buddy Jeff, and I was like, well, you could explain it this way, because we assume that all characters tell the truth. And I would say when there's a conspiracy, all the characters are not going to tell the truth. I was surprised how much I love this film. I saw it with Dante, and Dante James is actually going to be on our Versus show on Monday. Dante is also he's a religious person, or has been. He'll tell us on the show, but
with history.
Is a history, yes, but
Yep.
he really loved it. There's some really good performances. The actor who plays Tywin Lannister is in this. Bill Nye is also in it. He plays Cardinal Lawrence.
Of course he does.
He plays a cardinal. What?
Of course he does.
Of course he does. But from the original kills to like the tone to like I'm sitting in the theater and nothing is happening and I'm riveted. That really tells you.
And you
something.
want me to see this movie?
You need to see it, Alan.
Oh.
Here's the one thing I will say. I have, of course, you're going to have nitpicks.
First of all, I'm not Catholic, so it's not like I relate a lot to it.
Right. But there is one big thing that bothered me about this movie that is present in the original 1976 Omen that isn't in this movie. And do you know what it is?
The soundtrack.
The soundtrack is great because it gets into the ending and like the music that you remember from the Omen.
Uh-huh.
And I'm getting chills thinking about it. As a kid, that movie is frightening because of the little kid that they cast and also that score and the sort of low-key evil that's in it I'm just surprised how much I really loved this film. I did not expect to like it this much at all, not even close. But here's what's missing from it that I think would have actually made the movie scarier. That is in at least the original Omen from 1976 had this. You know what it is? Quotes from the Bible. What's missing in this movie is the Bible. And that's what made the 1976 Omen and the other Omen films so scary. What made those films scary is this is in the Bible. You can read all of this. This is all supposed to happen. An evil is coming, right? It's
interesting.
And what made the 1976 as a kid watching the Omen, like, oh my God, I remember like going through the Bible and finding passages that are like that talk about it, right? Like, and that made it even more frightening. Like, this is going to happen at some point, and evil is going to rise. And I felt if this movie had included more of the Bible and just leaned right into passages from the Bible, it actually would have made it even more scary. And that was the thing that, like, because my memory of the original Omen movie, seeing that as a kid, it was the Bible passages that made it so real and so frightening. And this movie doesn't do that. And that's sort of a big nitpick for me. But having said that, this is, at least in terms of horror films of the year, it's in my top 3 horror films of the year. I don't know that I have a top.
I think you've only seen 3. So
yeah. But like, this will be by the end of the year in the top horror films. Now, I don't know how you continue the series, but they actually leave kind of a loose end where this could continue as a series that runs in parallel to the other Omen films. And the idea that it's a period piece is so good. They really nailed it. Like, it felt like the original Omen movie. It just, they captured that tone so well. The theater that I was in was a bunch of critics. They all clapped at the end, which is rare. That doesn't happen. And you could hear a pin drop. Some of the scenes are so quiet and you could hear a pin drop.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, I was surprised how much I loved it as a horror film. Probably, between an 8 and 9 out of 10. Really, and I'll see it again. I'll see it again.
I will tell you, it's no secret that I don't watch horror movies.
Yeah.
And I will say the trailer that played on television for this movie and in theaters scared the hell out of me. And I think that's what started my path down not watching horror movies.
It's okay, Alan. I'll take up slack with the horror.
Yeah. But I mean that the original trailer is, and then the music behind it. It was like I can't stand this.
Well, you're gonna see it this weekend, so we can talk about it Monday. But I'm so glad there's something that came out of a major studio, Fox, that I could love. And yeah,
you mean Disney?
Right. It's whatever. It's look, if you like this type of film, it's a very well done version of this type of film. And I'll say this, there were more than a few times that I looked away. Okay. It's not super gory. There are a few scenes and some, I am not ruining any of the kills. I'm just saying, be prepared. At some point you may look away from the screen. So a strong recommend from me for The First Omen. If you like horror and if you like this type of film, my only beef is I wanted Bible quotes. I wanted Bible quotes. So
that's the authenticity of all this.
It adds, yeah.